Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Talk About Ice. I'm excited to be back. I really missed it last week. My apologies to everyone out there who was waiting for us to go live. If you've been following the posts, we were up at Blackwater, myself and DJ, it just didn't work out with the workshops we were running up there. However, very excited for tonight's episode. We have the lovely Carol here tonight, and we're going to get into her experience as a mum of an addict a little bit later on. Like I said in the promo vid, she deserves a medal. I know the surface of this story, and yeah, it's really inspirational. Her son actually is one of our new presenters, and yeah, look forward to that. Firstly though, guys, just some stuff about the week. So much is happening at AAIC. We're really starting to spread our wings and expand. For me personally, something that I really realised this week, guys, that really sunk into me, is one person can make a difference. Share it by sharing the post and inviting friends and family to like the page is such a service. You may not know, and I learnt this up on the Mind speaking to certain people. You might not know of anyone in your circle that's being affected by this drug. Doesn't mean they're not. A lot of people out there think they're alone and they keep it silent. So by getting this information out, you don't know whose desk it's gonna come across, who needs the support and the services and the info that we provide at AAIC. So please continue to do that. And thank you for all the support, guys, and all the kind comments. What else is there? There is more. Shout out to the Melbourne crew. That was awesome to see that, guys. And what else is there?
Presenters. New presenters coming on board.
Yeah, some new presenters coming on board, which we need. It's really good to see new people coming on and getting trained.
Talk about Blackwater.
Yeah, Blackwater, guys, the Minds was awesome. It really was. We had such a great response up there, and like I said before, I learnt a lot. And there's more people out there being affected by this drug than I knew there was a lot, but to actually see it firsthand, people breaking down because their son or daughter has been using from 14, 13, that's a scary thing. I met people whose sons and daughters were using from 14 and 13, which is very, very scary. What we're really trying to do here is take the taboo out of this subject. There's still a lot of taboo about it and mystery about it. We want to open up Blackwater. My trying to do here is take the taboo out of this subject. Hollywood happening again. Take the taboo out of the subject, guys, and just make an open dialogue about it, and just to show the truth about this subject. Yes, so that's about it. We're pretty excited for things to come. A lot of new things happening. So, yes. Carol, we'll go to... So Carol is the mum of DJ, who was up at the Minds with me. If you guys have been following, you would have seen DJ, awesome presenter, 12 months into recovery now, which is amazing and an amazing story. And Carol's been kind enough to come on the show and share. Yeah, come show your head, mate. Awesome, such an inspiration, this guy. Really, really awesome. Both of them, to have them on board with the Australian Anti-Ice campaign has been a real blessing. They've both brought a lot to the campaign. What I want to ask Carol is, what was DJ like as a kid, firstly? Honestly?
He was a rat bag. He was just mischief all the time, but good mischief, you know. He was fun, honest, and really good friend to his mates. And, you know, he was sporty, he was active, and he had a really big future in front of him, really.
Yeah.
But then, of course, this will come along, and that changed things somewhat. Yeah.
Was there, like, oh, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, was his upbringing comfortable?
I think that we are just a normal family, same as anybody else. You know, we had our ups and our downs, but we're just an average Australian family, just living normal lives. I can't say that there was any trauma or anything in his childhood that would indicate to us where we would have ended up when he was an adult. If anything was ever going to happen, I suppose we expected it as a young man, not as a fellow who was 26, 27 when we started to understand what was going on, but obviously things had been going on for quite some time.
Was Deej drinking a lot, and that was that a big part of his life?
Yeah,
that you know,
I think sort of in his late teens, he engaged in a fair bit of drinking, or binge drinking, party stuff, you know, that kind of thing.
like most Aussie
Yeah,
mums, really.
yeah, with the footy players, that kind of stuff.
What was so? Let's get to the nitty gritty. What was the first time you started noticing a change, and what was that change?
The first time I suppose we thought we knew was a couple of years before DJ went into recovery. He started to withdraw from the family. We were really close knit. We had a lot of events where we'd all attend, and DJ just started drawing away from that. And then we saw it impacting on his work, and we were, you know, talking with him about what was happening in his life. But of course, he never wanted to admit to us exactly what was going on. And I suppose we were in denial for a while too, because I think you do that because you don't want to believe what's happening is happening either. So we all kind of fooled ourselves and each other. He would tell us when we would question him, or, you know, did he have a problem? Could we help him? Was there an issue with drugs? And because, as well, friends would let things slip because our wider group knew or thought we all knew what was going on. But of course we wanted to fool ourselves as well, because that was safer for us as well, because if he wasn't using, we were safe.
Yeah. How old was that when you sort of thought that maybe something was going on?
Previous to that, I know that DJ dabbled in all sorts of bits and pieces over the years, but where we saw it as a serious problem was around 27, so 3 years or so ago is when we really realised.
Yeah. Can you tell me, Carol, what I'm interested to know, did you know anything about crystal methamphetamine before all this, or did you just go, oh, something's going on here, it might be drugs, or?
Yeah, just something's going on, it might be drugs, and then we'd heard the whisper, as you do, from, you know, that DJ might be using ice. And me being me, first thing I did was start to research and try and find out as much as I could, because I thought that would help me. It really didn't. It didn't help me to help him. It probably just made the situation worse in certain respects, because I tried to get as much knowledge of it as I could, but it didn't help me to stop him. Had there been something like AOIC, when we're at that point, then I might have been able to talk to somebody who could really help us to help him, but the knowledge didn't help me at all. It just made me more confused. Was it more like there was a lot of information about the drug, but not necessarily support and services? Nothing around how can we help him to make the decision to go into recovery. And of course I rang a lot of organisations and nobody was any help. They all said, you'll need him to phone, you'll need him to do this. He wasn't even admitting to himself that he was an addict at that point. So, you know, none of that sort of helped me. Eventually I found a family support group. That's what started to make me understand better about how to approach him and what was going to happen. But in the end, the law did that for us. Did the stuff that you were researching give you an insight to maybe the behaviour patterns an addict would display? Yes.
So did you know that he was using ice before he admitted it to you? Did you have a
yes,
eventually?
We did.
Yeah.
Once we saw his erratic behaviour and his rapid weight loss as well. You know, initially he was, you know, trying to tell us that he was training and he was doing this and he was doing that. And we're like, yeah, right, you don't look like that when you're going training. But his home as well, you know, he'd stopped us from attending, basically. If we'd go there, he'd pretend he wasn't home. His house, just within a 12-month period, we went from what was a normal suburban home to, I don't know, a car wreckers. But in DJ's mind, he was a mechanic at this stage, and there was just stuff everywhere.
I've heard the story because I've done a few workshops with DJ, and we always get a good laugh about it. I thought I was the maddest mechanic. I had all these cars pulling stuff apart, and that. He's like, so it's quite a humorous story.
We didn't laugh at the time. It was so distressing to see that, though, that from a hard-working young man and having a normal life to all of a sudden everything we saw about him was just chaos. And we didn't know how to help him.
How did it feel like when he was, how would that feel with being such a close family when he was pretending he wasn't home and
Oh, it was awful, and especially like I've seen where like DJ had psychosis as well, and he was that window looker. Well, I developed that, and I wasn't even taking ice because I'd be looking in his windows to try and see if he was there. Was he alive? Was he safe? What was happening? And that was a difficult thing.
Yeah. When was there a turning point? Was there ever a turning point where he came clean to you guys about it?
Yes and no, not really. We tried to, but I think we took the wrong approach as well because not living what he was living, we were just, well, you need to stop this. You need to get help, and you need to fix it, and it didn't happen, So it was more. He would say, yeah, I will eventually. Yeah, I will. But then he'd just... Yeah.
So it was an admission that he was using ice?
No, not an admission that he was using ice, just drugs. He wouldn't speak to us about ice, per se. But, yeah, he'd said, I will, but it'll be next month or next so forth. And it just kept pushing away. And then he'd avoid us even more because now we're starting to confront things, and the more we confronted it, the more he drifted away.
Yeah, get distant.
Yeah.
Such a hard dynamic for families. 2 seconds. Guys, if anyone's shooting, Jim's online again. Love you, Jim. Thanks for joining us. Mate, can you let us know if the sound's okay? We've just got a new sound system happening tonight. Can I get a thumbs up if you guys can hear myself and Carol okay? That'd be great. So from the workshops that I've done with DJ, he said he took on quite a bit of responsibility young. He was, married young, had a house and that. All good? Everything's good? And so how quickly did you see that start to fall away? His
marriage broke down, and we knew then that he was experiencing depression. But he just never come forward to anybody. It was the sort of thing, that masculine thing, I suppose, where you hold it to yourself.
Yeah, sure.
But it was fairly rapid. Within 18 months, he'd gone from having a life to going to jail.
Yeah.
And, he had a really successful life. He had a good job, he had a home, great friends, which fortunately he still has. But, yeah, he'd gone from penthouse to the bottom row. Just like that, and it's to start again. But we have him back.
Yeah, there is a light at the end of this story, guys. So, what? Tell me more. I've got so much I want to ask. Tell me more about the family support. I know AAIC run a family support group, and I really feel that's a gem. There's a lot of parents out there that know nothing about crystal methamphetamine or addiction. Can you tell us your experience about the family and how that helped you?
Yeah. Again, it was just something I come across by accident, and basically a group of family members who had loved ones in addiction on a whole range of drugs, some crystal meth, some other drugs. But it was just that whole sense of being able to have your own community as well, that you're not alone, that we weren't the only family going through this, and the feelings that you felt weren't strange, and it was okay to share them because during this process, sometimes, as much as we loved him, we absolutely hated him. We hated what he was doing to himself and what he was doing to us as a family because, as we saw, there's one person might take the drug, but it affects the whole family. And so we were all suffering, and that helped me to connect with other people, to realise that I wasn't alone, to learn a little bit more about myself as well, and also about to look after us, as well as while we're trying to look after our loved one, because you tend to forget that. You get so trapped up in it. Everything was about DJ for probably that 12 months. From all of us in the family, we all had different ideas on how we could help him. We didn't agree all the time, but we all come from the same place. We all loved him and wanted him to get well, but the reality was, all that we could see was there was 3 options. It was going to be jail, death or rehab. And to live with that every day, not knowing whether today was going to be the day that it could be death, or today's going to be the day it's going to be jail. Rehab looked a long way away. because the more we tried to push into it, the further we pushed him away.
Yeah, that. So, did the family support group advise you to not?
To start to back off.
Yeah.
And I just wish I had have had an opportunity to. There was the one gentleman that ran that support group, and he was a recovering addict, but he didn't talk much to us, so to speak. He was more a facilitator of the group. I really wish if back then I had been able to speak to somebody who'd gone through recovery, for me to understand what it felt for them, so then I would have known what was going on for DJ, because I really didn't know, and I was coming up from it with my rational perspective, I suppose, versus his irrational mind at that point in time. So we were just clashing. It wasn't working. I really wish that I had have had that opportunity to speak to somebody that's been through it.
Can you share, because this video, I mean, it's live tonight, but it's going to be up there forever and a day. Can you share some knowledge with the people out there, some mums out there that might be going through the same thing, what you've learnt and how you know how to deal with that situation now, and how they could help their...
Well, I don't know if I've learnt too much at all, because every day you're learning, but what I have found out is that as a non-user, as a person who's not taking ice, we just think totally different. What for DJ was his reality, even though it was irrational, to him it was his reality. And I've also learned that, that he'd reached the point where taking ice wasn't anymore about a good time, it was about surviving. And that's what I've sort of learned is that if we had have had more of an understanding of that, of where he was actually at, we might have been able to break through earlier, or we might not have tried to strong arm it, I suppose, is what we were doing. We should have just remember that the person underneath is still the person you love, and love them. I'm not saying we didn't love him, but perhaps, just that arm hug and that, full-on support that you're going to be there, and then try and find... But again, at that point, it was difficult to find help. This is a great starting point for anybody. And when you're in a situation, what do? You just race around, and that's all we did. We ran around in circles trying to find a way to get there, but just couldn't get there.
I can't imagine what a parent goes through. I just know from the addict's perspective that, I understand that because of the guilt and the shame and the remorse that we're in as addicts, and we know that we're not being who we truly are. We know on a level that we're hurting our family, and when they are getting closer, even though they are just trying to help, you can't look them in the eye, and you do push them away. So it's just... And
that's really hard, when your son does push you away, and when he wouldn't look us in the eye, he wouldn't talk to us, he wouldn't, and you knew he wasn't being honest, but we knew it wasn't DJ.
Yeah.
But we had to keep reminding ourselves of that, and I think that's a big part of it as well, is to keep reminding yourself that this isn't the person, it's the drug.
Yeah.
And that did help us keep steady, because we were all rocky, my husband and myself, and my daughter and her fiance. We were all very unstable during the whole process because of the emotions that we were all going through in trying to, get him clean.
Yeah. I had a question then. It's escaped me. It was a good one.
And it's also there are other members, like we've got DJ's nieces and nephews, they're having to try and make excuses for why their uncle was erratic and why they didn't see him as much anymore. And that was heartbreaking, because at that point we didn't know what to tell the kids. But since then, we've changed our mindsets in that it's not a shameful thing for us to say. We came out, I suppose, as well, and said, our son's a drug addict. That's the way it is. He is doing some things that aren't so great. He has made some mistakes. But you know what? He didn't set out for this to happen. It's not a choice that he made, in that he wanted to see his world destroyed and ours. It happened to him because of the drug. But he is in rehabilitation. This is what he's doing. And we spread the word to everybody that we knew, because we were trying to provide an environment that when DJ came through his rehab, that if he did encounter some of the people out in the community and that everybody would be looking out for him. We wanted to try and create this buffer of knowledge, I suppose, that this is where he's at. You know, just keep your eye out for him. Let's try and help him on this road instead of everybody hiding behind it. And once you start to tell people, like you said earlier about it just takes one person. Once you start to talk about it, all of a sudden there were so many people that we had no idea either.
And that's the really important thing. So, like you shared, when you went to family support, you realised you weren't alone. You're not alone, guys. This drug is affecting so many people. Like I shared at the start, we want to take the taboo and the mystery out of this subject, and also have a compassionate view. And remember, like you said, that wasn't your boy.
No.
It was the drug doing that within the boys. So there's a lot of stigma around ice users, and for me, having a compassionate view and remembering that there's a person in there struggling, you know, and it is the drug that's taken over. It's not that person. Obviously, set boundaries depending on their behaviour. But every addict I know is looking for love. You know, basically, there's a lack of love, and I think that was a key point you're saying. That, yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
I just saw a question on the TV there about what did I do to show tough love to DJ? Well, I had to be the tough one. That was the hard part for our family too. I had said, that's it, you know, we're done.
How far in was that?
18 months in. I can't have him here if he's behaving like that. I don't want him here. And we discussed it as a family. And then that created trouble because, you know, my husband and my daughter were frightened that they'd lose contact with DJ. But my thoughts at that time were, you know, we've just got to stop. We've got to stop helping him, enabling him. We were paying some of his debts. We were doing things like that. And so we just had to step back. And we did that for probably the last 4 months before he went into rehab. And I don't know if that was a great thing or not, because things really unravelled when we totally stepped back.
Was he staying with you at that time?
No, he was living in his own home, but
okay.
it went quickly to the end, and that's when he ended up with all of these legal problems. And obviously that was all building up, but I couldn't even go to his home for probably the last 5 months because I was just terrified of what I'd find.
Yeah. Can you share with a story, I'm not sure if you remember it, something about writing on one of his windscreens?
Yeah, I did that a bit. That was in lipstick. I'd seen the car at the hardware store, and I'd written a note in lipstick on the side window, I think, or the windscreen, telling that I loved him and for him to phone me. That wasn't the first time. Numerous times I went round to his home, and I left notes pinned to his front door talking to him about that, you know, we can get you help, that we love you, that we care about you. I poked notes underneath the door, I put things in letterboxes, because I just wanted him to get help, and we wanted him back, you know. Yeah.
It's nice hearing because, you know, and it's great that DJ had the support, you know. It might have been a different story if he didn't have such a supportive family. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't have that support, so I congratulate you guys for, obviously you got a love for your boy, but just for sticking through that and yeah, riding the wave. Can you tell us what happened? We've got notes being held up here. Oh, we got a viewer question. Would you change anything you did with hindsight? Yeah, dealing with the situation. Thank you, viewer.
Yeah, with hindsight, we wouldn't have enabled as much. We were paying some debts for DJ. We were maintaining what should have been his life, because we were worried about all those things that you do. You know, we didn't want our son to be addicted to a drug and on the streets, you know. So we thought in our wisdom, help him with the mortgage, keep those things going, then at least he's safe, he's got a roof over his head. In hindsight, I may not have done that, but I don't know. I can't really tell you because I don't have the opportunity to go back. And that may have ended up a different way anyway. All that I can say is that one way or another, as I said, it was those three things, and it ended up being jail that got him to rehab. Yeah. But even when that happened, we went, yes. And I never thought I would be happy to think that my son was going to jail, but as soon as I heard that, I thought, yes, okay, well, here's the doorway, here's the opportunity. And that was the doorway. DJ went into rehab, bailed into rehab, and that he shouldn't have really come through because it really wasn't his choice, and I know he was fibbing and lying to us at the start as well. He just went because that's what he had to do, but eventually his recovery came while he was there, and brought him back to us, I suppose.
You shared with me once about the first night that he was in rehab. Can you share that with the people?
Yeah, it was the first week, but the first night was the best night's sleep my husband and I had in 18 months. That first week was brilliant. We went out for dinner. We did all these things because we knew he was safe. And we weren't to see him for 14 days and we couldn't see him, but it was that first 7 that really hit home to us, that he didn't really enter our thoughts at all for that first week, because we knew he didn't have to be. We knew he was safe, and we knew he was getting the help that he needed. And you don't realise the pressure you've placed on yourself as well because of your concern and your worry about your family member. But yeah, that week was great.
Yeah. So what the relief of that after 18 months,
Yeah.
or whatever you went, the stress and the strain was obviously
Absolute relief.
tangible.
Yeah, absolute relief. And the fact that we knew that, okay, he might not have gone there fully willingly or for the right reasons, but he was there. And once he was there, we just had to put our faith in the process. And he went through a private rehab because that was a situation we're in, that he just had to go somewhere, and there isn't facilities. There's not enough facilities. We were lucky that we could afford to put him in and save his life.
That's a big concern that I'd like to touch on, is the gap, guys. The problem with the detox and the rehabs is people go into detox and there's often a gap from detox to rehab where they've got to go home. We lose so many people in that period. When an addict puts their hand up to say, I need help, I'm drowning, the addict needs to be taken. That's a window that often only comes up once, and you might lose that addict forever. You know, so we need to do something about that. At AAIC, we're developing a tripod system, so after detox, they can come see AAIC. We'll set them up with a buddy and a group and stuff. So within that period between detox and rehab, we can keep them safe, keep them on track. So that's all we can do at the moment, but that is a real concern, because when an addict puts their hand up, they need to be embraced and taken in straight away. Yeah, we get a counsellor, a group, and a buddy. So that's the tripod there, guys. Counsellor, group, and a buddy. So basically, that's all you need, and those people, the buddy has been through addiction as well, so they can help. So that's enough to keep them on track until rehab. So explain to us, when did you see the change through the rehabilitation? Were you allowed to see him through the rehab?
The first, he was in for 2 weeks, the first weekend. When we went and saw him then, physically he looked a little bit better, a little bit brighter. He was very jittery, this, that and the other. And my husband and I were sort of quite excited by that. The next weekend, some more family members were coming, and they were all a bit shocked because, DJ's not so great. Because I think he really struggled in that first month. Obviously, he was having withdrawals and stuff, but there was anger and there was all these things coming out. And it was still a really bumpy ride. 45 days in, he was cured now. He was ready to go, you know, and that was the tough love. Well, you know, if you're ready to go, you're going on your own. You know, we can't help you. We're not going to support you in that. 60 days he was cured again and he was good to go. And that's when we sort of suggested to him as well, though, that he had not only an obligation to himself but to everybody else within that community. And then 90 days, good to go, and he was. But he still wasn't ready. And then there was another month or 6 weeks after that outside. But I suppose it was around, realistically, when we really started to see our son back was around 75 days to 80 days. But then still probably 5 months after, 6 months after, before he really started to come back, because he found ways to cope with the issues that he was having, and finding different ways to live his life now outside of rehab as well.
How did that feel to start see your boy coming back?
Oh, it was fantastic. Because we always knew he was, well, you know, he was there, but it was just the most uplifting thing for that to have happened.
It takes, guys, just so you know, it takes 12 to 18 months for the brain to restore some sort of balance after using ice, which is a long period. For myself personally, it was easily 18 months before I could feel any sort of pleasure from training or surfing or anything like that. So just so you know.
And yeah, that's what we like. Cause he still has. He still has his waves, you know, ups and downs. But it's this AAIC as well has helped him as well as he can help others as well, because you know he can give back, and we all can, and that's why we're so find it just so important, because the gift of recovery is such a wonderful thing, and I'd like to see so many other families be able to have the joy that we've had to have your family member back. And it's really hard to get help, and this is a great way to do it.
And there is hope. This is a story of hope, guys. People do make it into recovery, and please share the post like we always say, because you don't know who's going to need this info about the support and services. Can you tell us, you mentioned once going to, I think, a meeting with DJ.
Yeah.
How did that help? Is that something you would recommend people to
Oh,
do?
absolutely, yeah. When DJ was first in rehab, that first week, the first time he was allowed out on the weekend, he was attending an NA meeting, and we went along. I found it very confronting at first, of course, because I wasn't used to being in a room full of addicts, you know. Scary, scary. It was so enlightening, because people were so real, and people shared their stories, and you understood the heartache and the trouble that they were having themselves. But everybody was uplifting each other as well. You know, from when DJ was a new person to the meetings, so there might have been somebody that's been recovered for 10 or 15 years, and they offered their support and help. And just to me, to understand where and what stage he was at, it was the best thing that could have happened for us. And it also took away a lot of, as I said, when we went in, you go, oh my gosh, to stop being so judgmental.
Yeah.
And, you know, that it can happen to us, it can happen to anybody from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And this one is a real cracker.
What stood out for me then is when you said real, because you know the addicts are just real people that have lost their way, guys. And like I've said many times, taking the taboo out of addiction and coming together and realising that it is the drug and it is someone struggling, you know, and definitely if someone, when I would, for me personally, giving back is such a big thing. So if you are in recovery, give back in whatever you can, because it helps you in your recovery as well, and it helps the next person. Yeah, so can you tell us, how is it now? How is it now? He's, I think, 12 months, 17 days clean, is that right?
12 months and 17, I think, because it was a couple of days before my birthday when he went into rehab. So I remember
That's
that
a
all the
birthday
time.
present.
Yeah. Well, it certainly is now. This year it is, because this year seems like a year of moving forward, because we were all drowning for the couple of, and him for longer than us, because we didn't realise it for a while, because it wasn't our life that was living it. But to just see the change for him, and that he has a new focus and a new direction to take, and that, yeah, not every day is great, but there is things to look forward to, and just that normal happy high, just to live your own life and see joy in everyday life without having to use the drug to just keep him normal, you know, which that was the biggest thing I learnt, was about you know, what the impacts on the brain and what it does, and how what might have started as something recreational just turned into an existence to be able to survive.
Yeah,
you know?
that scares me when I hear that recreational use. It's like there's nothing recreational
No.
about this drug. I don't know one person that has used this drug once. It will just keep drawing you back and back. Has DJ shared more about like the emotional position he was in when he was using? Is it since recovery?
Oh
Has he
yeah,
given you
well
insight?
he's still, we're still not quite there yet, but he's certainly a lot more open and honest now, and also that, you know, it's okay to talk about your feelings,
Yeah.
and that, you know, that unless you share it with somebody, how is somebody to know? We can't just guess what's going on, and often people will say, yeah, I'm fine, and they're not really.
So guys, while we're on it, AAIC is a support network for recovering addicts. You can contact us, guys. You can contact us, and we've got lots of support and services for you. All of us are trained in brief interventions, so we can come and do those with you. And also, if you're looking to give back, we need volunteers, and recovering addicts in this field are a gem, because we know what it's like.
and
For
or
me-
their families
and
in
all the-
other areas, you know, because
Yeah.
we want to give back too, because we're one of the lucky ones. You know, we've got a family member that's come through, so you know that's why I see it as, because it is a family thing. It's not
Yeah.
just about the addict; it's about the family, and we now have something that we should give back because we've
Yeah.
recovered as well. We've had that reward, and I'd encourage anybody that's a family member as well to. You know, it doesn't matter where you might be able to help, but somehow or another, there's
Yeah.
something, put your hand up and offer to give a hand, you know.
It's funny you're saying that. Every time I share this 2% stat, I'm like 2% of addicts get clean. Only 2% of parents get their child back.
Yeah, we were
that's
lucky.
That's a whole nother avenue. So, yeah, really inspirational story. Got some. You want us to? There you go. 3 minutes left. So, is there anything else you'd like to share? As we said, this is going up on Facebook. You've been through so much. You're one of the blessed 2%. 2% of mothers that get their child back. Is there anything out there you'd like to share to parents how to cope if they're in a similar situation to you were, as you guys were?
I think first off, the family support is a big thing. Once you can start to talk to other people that are living what you're living or have lived it, so as you can get some sort of an insight as to what's happening in your life and your addict's life, and to find some more information and get that direction so that you might then be able to identify when your family member or loved one is at that stage that's ready to look for help. Because as you said before, it can be a small window, and if you don't know what you're looking out for, you might miss that opportunity. And I know that we did miss that opportunity a few times with DJ because we didn't have that support ready to go. Whereas I think there was a couple of times where we had him maybe close that we've had that information, and also for you to keep you going and for you to be able to keep going to be able to help your loved one, you need support, and you need to address the fact that it's hurt you too, and it's hurt your relationship.
Yeah.
But it can come back.
And you're not alone, guys. This is proof that you're not alone. And we need to come together and realise that we're not alone, to share openly. You know, everybody's hurting in this situation. So the family support number is, I don't know it off the top of my head. What a gem. I really know that this family support group is a gem because the families go through hell. And if you're one of those family members, you can call on 0481 844 555, and the AAIC office number is 075 665 6063. We're looking for people, guys. As I said before, we are a support network for recovering addicts and family members, and we're here to help to take the stigma out of this drug, to educate and raise awareness about this drug. It does not need to be an issue in this nation. I truly believe that. And through education and awareness, we can cut off the demand. If there is no demand for this drug, there's no need for supply. So how do we do that? We get into the kids young, and this nation can be an example to the rest of the world. I've got no doubt when this campaign takes off, in a decade's time, the rest of the world will be looking at Australia and saying, wow, look what they did, and taking this campaign to their countries. We can make a difference, guys. We need you guys. In unity, we can make a difference. So please continue to share, continue to spread the message, and please come forward, guys, because it really, really takes people like Carol to have the courage to speak out, not hide away.
No.
Recovering addicts out there, come out, share your story, because someone down there is going through what you've been through, and you've been through it. You can give that person insight. Addicts are struggling. They need a hand up. Yeah. So if you are in recovery, you can be that hand to help someone out. And an addict that gets into recovery is a gift beyond measure.
Yes.
That is human potential come back to life, and what that human can do for the rest of the community is beyond words, guys. So this is a wonderful campaign. I love it so much, and I know AAIC is going to stamp their foot in Australia and make a real difference. So, is there anything else you'd like to share, Carol? What amazing story. I'm blessed. I love DJ. I was in the mines with him. I cried that many times with his sharings because they're so real. And that guy has come through hell. He's been through hell. The whole family does. So to have their family aboard with AARC is a blessing, and we're looking for more, guys. You're not alone. Come out of hiding. If you're struggling, speak out and come and see us. Is there anything else, Carol, you'd like to say?
Not even once.
Not even once. That is exactly what we need to
Had that
say.
have been where we were at, we would never have had to go through this. But not even once.
Not even once, guys. Not even once. That's our message to you guys, to kids, to everyone out there. Not even once. Thank you for joining in. Is there any questions? ICE helpline 0481 844 555. Big props to Carol for sharing. Absolutely. DJ is doing really, really well. Well done to DJ. He's a real inspiration in the community of recovery. He's well spoken and yeah, gets so many people into the rooms and into recovery. He's got a real gift. Heather, if you need to talk to the family support group, get in touch. Alright guys, listen, if there is any questions, you can call us, post it. We're not a campaign that's pretending. We are real people who care and we are here to help. You can make contact through Facebook or calling us. We'll have people come and do brief interventions if you're struggling with addiction. Clean for over 5 years now. Props, Tara. Well done. Congratulations. If you'd like to come aboard the Australian Anti-ICE campaign, be a blessing to have you. Come and meet the team. Maybe you could be trained as a presenter. If you want to come on Let's Talk About ICE, you can contact me on letstalkaboutice@gmail.com. That goes for anyone watching, guys. If you feel you've got a story to share, make contact on that email. Guys, I think that's it.
And I think you're right though. When you recover, you learn so much about yourself and everybody involved can have so much to give.
Absolutely.
And do have a special gift.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, perfect. Not even once, guys. Lots of love. We'll see you next week.